Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to the Centurions Review, the punk rock band of wargame review institutions. This is Escape from Altassar. It's from Task Force Games. I believe it's from 1982 or thereabouts. What you want to do in this game is one side is prisoners, one side is guards, and the prisoners, this is a prison here, have to escape and make it off the north edge of the board, which is over here. Let's go over some of the unit types now before we get into the rules. So let's go over the prisoners first. The first type of counter is a dummy counter for the prisoners. They're using this to fool the guards into not knowing exactly where their real troops are. The first value is attack, which of course on a dummy is 0. Defense on the dummy is 1. And movement is 8. Here's one of the regular prisoners. He's got an attack of 2, a defense of 1, and a movement of 8, and that little 5 up there, that's his evasion number. So if he attempts to do evasion, he has to roll less than a 5 to do it, but there's some types of terrain where there's a modifier added. And down here is another prisoner. Up here is a guard. He's a 1/1/6. What's interesting about the guards is there's 4 nets in the game. See, it's 0/0/8. He can carry that net and then throw it 8 hexes. And if it lands on an enemy troop, the enemy troop becomes exposed. The prisoner also, when he's netted, in addition to being exposed, he can't move for a turn. And here is one of their flyers. That's a 2/1 that has a movement of 10. What's good about these is they ignore terrain, so they can move rapidly around the board. There's only 4 of them, though. And here's a signal post. This is a very important thing in the game. It's not an actual unit. It's a piece of, I guess you would call it a piece of equipment. It doesn't affect stacking limits. By the way, the stacking limit in this is there's no stacking unless something is put on an ambulance. But you can have a unit on a space with a post. What a post does is if you get within 2 of it and you're a prisoner, you're exposed, because the prisoners start the game turned upside down, so you don't know which are the dummies and which are the prisoners. So if you're within 2, you get exposed, and you stay exposed until you move more than 4 away from the post. And here is their equivalent of a tank. It's a 2/2/8. The movement's pretty good compared to the guards. The problem with the tank, though, is it cannot attack unless another type of unit is also attacking. And here's their, I guess you would call it an armored personnel carrier. It's used more like a paddy wagon. If a prisoner gets stunned, you can load it up onto the paddy wagon and it will drive it back to the prison. Alright, we'll go into the rules for the game next. Alright, so the basics of the rules, as I mentioned, there's no stacking unless you're stacking with this thing here. Combat is voluntary, and of course you cannot attack when you're stunned. Prisoners and guards have a range of 3. Trackers have a range of 4, that's their tank there. Dristles have a range of 5, that's the airplane. And if you do ranged fire, you ignore attacker effects. You only do attacker effects when you're attacking something adjacent. If you're only attacking an adjacent unit, you'll add 1 to your combat strength, and if you want, you can attack multiple units. Alright, so the combat results table, you can have NE, which is no effect. You can have EX, which is not exchange. EX is exposed, so if you're a prisoner, you turn yourself face up, or if you're a guard, you will retreat 3 hexes. There's the attacker eliminated there. And ST is stun, and of course there's defender eliminated too. Alright, so if a prisoner unit is attacked, it can evade if it's not exposed. So if it's not exposed, he rolls and tries to get less than his evasion rating. And if he does, he can do 1 of 2 things. Well, he chooses these before he rolls. He chooses either flight or camouflage. If he chooses flight and he gets the correct roll, then he can exchange his position with a dummy counter. The prisoner player will turn his head so he doesn't see. So then when they attack, they're attacking a dummy counter. If he chooses camouflage, that means that they just can't see him there. Actually, if it's camouflage and they roll to succeed, what happens is if the die roll is lower than the evasion rating of the unit, the guard will subtract the difference from the following combat results roll. That's how that one works. Usually you're just going to want to do flight though. And then there's attrition in this. You have 12 turns for your prisoners to escape. However, on turn 8 through 12, the guards have to eliminate one of their units for attrition. So there's another thing called renewal. In renewal, whenever a prisoner or a guard dies, any guards within 3 hexes of the eliminated unit are placed in the same hex in order to feed off the corpse. It's up to 2 of them, no more than 2 guards. It doesn't count towards stacking limits. So when they're feeding off the corpse, they can't move or attack in the following guard phase. However, they can defend at normal strength. So let's do the setup now. So the setup begins with the prisoners setting up within the prison, so I'll set them up there. Okay, so the prisoners are set up here, and before the first turn occurs, they do a double move. This one's got a movement of 6, so he can move 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a dummy, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll move them all. And so this is where all the prisoners move to. And now it's time to set up the signal posts. These on here actually aren't on the board yet, so I'll set those up. Alright, so let's place them. Gonna place one there. One there. Place another here. And another here. So now everything within 2 is exposed. Right now the first player turn begins and the guard places all his remaining units on any prison hexes and then begins his pursuit of the prisoners at a normal movement rate. So let me start placing his forces. I'll set up the rest. Alright, they're set up, so they're going to do their movement. Sequence of play is guard turn, he moves and then does combat, and then the prisoners, and they move and do combat. So, these airplanes have a movement of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's got a range of 4, too. I'll do all my movement off camera. So actually I forgot at the beginning of movement, the nets have to be launched. So this guy's going to launch a net here, 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 and here. And now I'll continue. Alright, now that their movement's done, let's see what their nets have caught. That one was a dummy counter, but the net stays in the space. That one's a dummy. This one's an actual person. And let's see this space. That space is a person too. Alright, so the Dristles are going to attack first. Those are the airplanes. They have a range of 5, so they're going to attack this guy here. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8 to 1. So that's maximum odds. And they roll a dice and get a 2. So it's stunned. So I just turn him upside down to signify he's stunned. Next combat will be right here against this guy. So we got the tank and just the tank and this guy will go at it. So that's a 3 to 1. 3 to 1, they get a 3, so exposed was already exposed though. And down here, this guy's got a defense of 1. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's maximum odds versus him. Add a 4, so that's defender eliminated. So he's eliminated. However, they do renewal now. They get hungry, so 2 within 3 hexes move into that hex, and they eat the corpse. And this is the only time they're allowed to stack. They eat the corpse, and they basically lose their next turn. All right, let's go over here. So he's a 1, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he can get maximum odds there too. So that's a 2. So he's just stunned. We'll remember he's stunned. All right, and over here, I think this was it was a dummy counter. So these are all within range of this guy though. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 to 1. And gets a 3, so he's stunned. Alright, the prisoners go now. And he wants to get out of dodge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's as far as he can move, though. He's still within 4 of the post, so he's still exposed. The dummies will move too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've all been moved, so they can do combat now if they wish. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 will go on to him. So 5 to 1 versus the airplane. And he rolls a 1, so it's just exposed, so the airplane has to retreat 3. And that's pretty much, that's pretty much all the combat they have. So that's the basics of how the game works. The only other thing I haven't shown is the evasion, which, let's do a pretend evasion right now. Let's pretend all these posts aren't here and stuff. And let me get the... So let's pretend this guy here is about to be attacked by them. He's not exposed, so he's got an evasion value of 4. So he's going to roll a dice to see if he can evade, and he does. So actually, for the evasion to occur, there has to be a dummy counter out there. So let's pretend there's a dummy there. So what will happen is he exchanges places with that dummy a counter, and when they attack, he's dead. So the only other type of evasion is camouflage. So let's put him back where he was. So his evasion is a 4. Let's say he rolled a 1. So the 1 means that when these guys attack, they subtract 3 from the roll. So they're at maximum odds and will roll. So the 6 becomes a 3. So it's still defender eliminated, but you get the idea. And the last thing I haven't shown is, let's go over the paddy wagons. So let's say these guys stun this guy here. The paddy wagon can drive up while he's still stunned and stack with him. And then the paddy wagon drives back to the prison, and that will give victory points. I mean, they get victory points for all sorts of things, and that's such as killing enemy forces and recapturing them and so forth. And the prisoners get victory points for leaving the board or killing guard troops. So Len will and I will do our review now. Hey guys, Dave and Len here. We just played Escape from Altassar. It's a science fiction game where a bunch of prisoners escape from a prison, and they're followed by the guards, and the guards are trying to either kill them or capture them. And there's some weird mechanics in this, such as renewal. Renewal is whenever an infantryman or a prisoner is killed, actually I should say a guard or a prisoner, is killed, any guards within 2 of it will run over there and eat the body over the next turn. And there's also attrition in this, where on turns 8 through 12, the guards have to eliminate one of their units. But it's 12 turns for the prisoners to escape, and then victory points are calculated. Victory points, you get victory points for killing enemy forces, for escaping off the map. And the guards also can get points for capturing a prisoner and bringing them back. They got like a little APC they use to bring stunned prisoners back to the camp. So we called it the paddy wagon. But what'd you think of this game, Len?
It isn't that bad a game, but it isn't that great. Mostly the problems I have is like little details. Like all the prisoners should have the same movement points, along with the dummy markers.
Yeah, that's true, because the prisoners are usually upside down when they're being moved, so you got to keep picking up the counter to look and see what its movement rate is.
And of course, the other guy gets to notice, probably peeks.
Yeah, exactly.
A smart opponent will be doing that. Because you weren't, because you're too honest, but I still lost anyway. Another one was that they have planes, something flying.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be able to spot anybody in the forest.
Yeah, in this game, most of the units the guards are going to kill are going to be killed by the air units, because the air units have a long movement, and they only pay 1 movement point per hex since they fly. So yeah, the air units are overly powerful in this.
Yeah, because and also a great annoyance is that they should be, when you spot a dummy counter, should be taken off the map. Because as the prisoner guy, they were just a pain in the ass after a couple of turns.
I think the reason they leave them on the map is because they get flipped back down later and stuff, and so they just confuse the guard. I guess in that sense they work, because yeah, they did confuse me, because there's plenty of times I attacked a counter only to find out that it was a dummy counter. And they also have 2 forms of evasion in this game. If a counter is not revealed, it's upside down and it's attacked, the prisoner can choose to either camouflage or evade away. Evade means he changes places with a dummy counter, and he does it while the other player's not looking. And camouflage means you just couldn't find it and you couldn't attack it. So the evasion ratings are pretty high on these, so there's a good chance that if the counter isn't visible, they'll get a chance to evade. But there's what do you call those things? I can't remember the name of them. There's towers and there's nets in this game, and nets can be launched a pretty long distance against enemy forces to reveal them and hold them in place. And the towers, if the prisoners get within 2 of it, they're revealed, and they stay revealed until they get at least 4 away from the tower. So it's to the guard's benefit to keep the prisoners revealed as much as possible.
It's one of those games that's kind of in the middle. That maybe, trying a few more times, because I was thinking as the prisoner player, maybe I should have spread out the forces more. That might have helped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because but it's a hard one.
Yeah, it is hard for the prisoners. I read somewhere, I don't know if it was Board Game Geek or what, but they described this game as shooting fish in a barrel, and that's what it kind of feels like. You got all these prisoners trying to escape, and anytime you get within range, you're attacking like one prisoner with like 3 or 4 different units, so you get maximum odds and stuff. So yeah, it does feel like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, because halfway through, I was getting hopeful, because I was all I had to do is get across this one mountain barrier, and I was off. But you have so many units, you'll eventually wear me down.
True.
Like I said, the flying one should not spot you in the forest.
It seemed like the guards had more units than they needed.
Yeah.
Since the guards don't move faster than any of the enemy. I mean, your tanks will move the same speed as the maximum prisoner, but the rest of them just move at a speed of 6. So they have a lot of trouble catching the enemy. So it felt like the guards needed less units. They had too many. Most half my guard units never engaged the enemy. So
yeah, because I was about to say if you had only half the soldiers, then you still had a formidable force.
True, and the attrition where you turns 8 through 12, where you lose 1 unit per turn if you're the guards, that didn't affect the game at all, because like I said, you have too many units to begin with, so it didn't hurt me in the least bit that I was losing a unit a turn near the end of the game. Didn't hurt at all.
Yeah, and you always pick the ones closest to the prison, the furthest away from me.
Right, exactly.
So,
but I thought the game, I'd rate it. It's fun, but it's a mediocre game that's fun. What do you think?
Mediocre game that's fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say, this is one that I was kind of bored, but other people might actually like it for the exact reasons I don't. It's like it's hard to win as the prisoner, but damn, is that going to be a challenge?
Yeah.
And the guards may just have fun. I was figuring the designer must have a bias toward prison guards. Maybe a friend of, maybe his family is a prison guard. So.
But anyhow, we will have a new game for review next week. Not sure what, but probably another micro game. Have a good evening.
Yeah.